Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Star Raiders? Well, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. That used to be an old Atari 2600 title. And this is yet another one of the attempts by Atari to remake classic games. Unfortunately, thus far, every game they've remade in this manner has not held a candle to the original, and often is completely different to the original. Yar's Revenge is a good example of that. I didn't do a WTF Is of Yar's Revenge because it was completely and totally broken on PC, to the point where if you ever changed any of the settings, including the resolution, from its default 1024x768, the game would crash. So it didn't seem like it was worthwhile. In this case, you do actually have a functioning options menu, which already puts it ahead of Yar's Revenge. Unfortunately, what I've played of the game thus far, it does not seem to hold up any water as a reasonably entertaining title. So, the first thing to complain about, I guess, is the complete lack of options. You got right here, anti-aliasing, anisotropic filtering, shadow quality, and screen resolution, and that's about it. And the second thing would be that the game is permanently capped to 30 frames per second, which isn't even acceptable on consoles for a title like this, let alone on PC. Aside from that, you get controls right here. Now, I was unable to try it out with a 360 pad, because for some reason my 360 pad doesn't seem to be working with it. But whatever the case, I did it with keyboard and mouse, and it's probably best just to show you exactly how badly this game controls. And last but by no means least, we have this. Now, I thought perhaps this was just blurry and out of focus for me, but it looks like the help menu itself is using screenshots that are incredibly low resolution, so you can barely read them, and they also look awful. I don't even know. The presentation is not the strong point of this game. I would also like to know exactly why there's a single-player option when there is nothing else. It's like, yes, the game is single-player, we get the idea. Why is it called single-player? That implies there should be a multiplayer, and there certainly is not. Check the leaderboards. It's not exactly what I'd call particularly strong. Not a lot of people play this game. Wow, it actually has to load each page as well, so that's not so great. Some of you might be thinking, well, you're prejudging this game. Well, not really. I played a little bit of it because the tutorials were incredibly boring, so I thought maybe it gets a little bit better. No, it doesn't. So let me show you why. Okay. Right, so Star Raiders is based around a galactic chart, which is kind of like the original game. Unfortunately, the original game sort of had a strategic element to it. This game really doesn't, honestly. So another problem with this port, you can't just click on a hex, which would make perfect sense. I think I have my mouse hidden now, so you probably can't see that. But yes, trust me, I'm clicking on it, you can hear it. In fact, you just have to click this arrow. The interface is just awful. And it's obviously designed with a console in mind, but they've done nothing to make it reasonable. Now, pretty much, as far as I can tell, every single one of these missions involves just blowing up the Xylons, which is fairly similar to the original game, but at least then you had an excuse for it being 30 years old. You've got mission data right here, which gives you some basic stats that don't really matter all that much. And God, why can they not just make the entire button clickable? I don't really know why. And you also have the ability to get the salvage credits. Now, these can be spent on weapons. However, the weapon system is fairly generic. So if we have a look here, we've got chain cannon, brace cannon, bolt cannon. They're basically the same thing. The thundering cannon is the ultimate upgrade. There was no reason not to have it. So the main weapon is entirely linear on everything. You also have three modes. You've got assault mode, attack mode, and turret mode. Now, turret mode is what you would think it is. Assault mode is kind of a more nimble mode, but slower moving forward, and attack mode just your basic fighter. So the force gun is a different weapon for this and requires you to buy it separately in order to upgrade it, but I don't even use the turret anyway, so I don't really see the point. You've also got a heavy weapon slot where you do at least have a little bit of variety. For instance, here there are two kinds of missiles. The Falcon missile is basically an MIRV, and this is just your normal heat seeker. You've also got a disintegrator beam on the assault mode, which, if it'll let me click on it, I don't know why I had to click multiple times. You can you can switch over to missiles for that as well, multiple missile launchers. There's also this disintegrator beam, which has 3 different upgrades. Again, it's all fairly linear. There's also an android, which is actually interesting, because it looks like this is a little bit of a choice within the game. And what you can do here is you can buy these androids, and they will upgrade you in different ways. So there is a bit of variety there, and apparently there is also a different ship hull, but I haven't unlocked it yet. So without further ado, let's go to the galactic chart. So we can pick between killing Xylons, or killing Xylons, or killing Xylons, or we could also kill some Xylons. So there's also an escort mission whereby you kill Xylons. So let's kill some Xylons, I guess. No, you can't double-click on that to enter. You have to click this button. There you go. Yes, I would love to continue. Right, now this game features no voice acting of any description, and the storyline is basically worthless. There is no storyline to this game at all. Right, fly with the Solaris, and here we go. Now, probably one of the biggest problems I've got with this game, beyond everything else, is the miserable controls. Now, I thought maybe this is just me using keyboard and mouse, not that that would actually be an excuse. If you release a PC game, better control reasonably well with the keyboard and mouse, and this game absolutely does not. And the funny thing is, it barely has an excuse either. You remember I said that stuff like Garshasp the Monster Slayer, if that controlled much better with a pad, then I'll be alright with that, and racing games, things like that. But in this case, there's actually no excuse, because, of course, space games like this live on PC. So I don't see why there would be a problem. Now, I just tend to use the normal assault mode ship thingy, right? What is it? Attack mode. Assault mode is the robot that you saw earlier. It's fairly pointless. I mean, it's like, oh, you can use it for dogfighting. Well, there's no real need. A lot of your weapons should have an auto track on them. Also, your ship doesn't strafe at a reasonable speed. You can see my ship is jerking around all over the place. Camera angles are also almost making me seasick right here, which is fairly terrible. Now, you've got a strafe, and then you've got this twist right here, and you can also move up and down, which, it's just really, really jerky. If I want to do this, for instance, the ship has no momentum of its own, none. So, I've got to keep pushing the thrusters, and I've also got to keep moving the mouse to the edge of my mouse pad. This is on very high mouse sensitivity, and it's still fairly bad. So, I can't say I'm all that pleased with that. Maybe it's better with a pad, but I did, before I saw this, go check out a couple of reviews, and they all said the same thing about the 360 version. The controls are terrible. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot of good things to say about that. What I'd also like to say is the weapons feel unbelievably anemic. I mean, I upgraded my cannon, and yet it doesn't seem to matter. I don't know, did I actually pick that up? Maybe I didn't. Maybe this is actually my fault. I don't want to make this mistake myself, so let's just head back to main menu. It's not like we're actually missing anything here. Alright, to single player, continue. Did I equip that cannon? All I know is when I got the first upgrade to that cannon, it didn't feel like a different weapon. Okay, I did equip it. I knew it. It's the same bloody weapon. It doesn't feel different, it doesn't sound different. Oh, God. It's appalling. Right. I'm gonna jump over here. We're gonna go to this area. This area looks a little bit more difficult. Can I warp in here? At least you do have choices as to where you go, but they're all pretty much the same thing. Here it's just blow up some drones and blow up some fighters. Okay, right, we might as well use turret mode for this, because there's a guy right there. Also, you can blow up these asteroids, and they will give you cash, which is nice. Turret mode just seems to be useless unless you're going up against sort of big capital ships. In this case, I'd much rather be in attack mode. It's much better. I don't see any reason not to. Oh, man. It does a little bit less damage, but it's just not worthwhile to go into turret mode as far as I can tell. I just don't see why you would. Assault mode as well, you lack any semblance of speed, and also the rolling with assault mode is even worse. The actual controls for this are absolutely appalling. Okay, let's take these out. There we go. Deal with them. Now, as I was saying about the weapons feel so anemic. It's horrible. You think, oh, it'll be great. You got some lasers, you got some explosions and big stuff like that, and it isn't. It's bad. It feels like you're shooting a pea shooter from 30 years ago. The weapons in the original Star Raiders on the Atari 2600 felt as anemic as this. They had an excuse. They only had 8 bits to play with. In this case, God Lord, I mean, you've got a 360, you've got a PS3, you've got a PC as well, and I mean, what is there to really like about this game? It's so very, very little. I was hoping maybe I'd just get some nice dogfighting. There's much better games like this, like say Aces of the Galaxy, which is about 3 to 4 years old. That was awesome. And even that was sort of rail shooter-ish, but it was just so good. And then you've got really much older games, of course, like Free Space, and then you've got Starlancer, which was one of my personal favorites, that was just better in every way. And I don't know, why is it that a company can't make a decent space game? It seems fairly simple to do, but evidently it isn't. Now, I know there's a repair place around here somewhere, and I can't really find it on the map. You'd think that the repair pod would actually show up, because I'm actually out of ammo, so I need to go and find some more, but I don't know where. Oh, is that it? No, that's a red thing. No. Okay, I blew my ship up. Excellent. Yeah, I know there is a repair station somewhere here. I don't know where, because it doesn't seem to show up on the map anywhere. There's purple things, which I think are friendly ships. There's yellow things, which I assume are these turrets. There we go. And then there's the red things, which are the Xylon Scouts. And the actual repair station doesn't show up anywhere. That's really annoying. Well, there we go. Now, after the mission, you can go around and mine these gold asteroids for credits, because Lord knows we want to make the game a little bit more boring. And, of course, after the mission's done, it's not a problem. I think... Are we done? Yep. Oh, this is the repair thing. Okay. Right. If we want, we can remain in the sector. I finally found the repair station. Is that the blue thing on the map? I'm seeing 3 blue things on the map. Are that actually 3 repair stations, or am I missing something? I don't know. Oh, whatever the case. So you can stay on the map and blow up these gold asteroids for credits, and which will, of course, allow you to upgrade your ship even faster than you otherwise would. And it is the most boring thing in the world. Visually, this game is unimpressive, as you can very easily see. You know, it's kind of hard to make space look unimpressive. You just have a nice background. In this case, the background is low resolution and dull. The explosions don't help. There's very little in terms of lighting effect of any description. It's so lazy. This game is by Incinerator Studios, and it's, of course, published by Atari. Now, once again, this is a lackluster PC port, just thrown onto the PC by Atari from one of their Xbox Live arcade games. It shows. The controls are abysmal. The options menu is abysmal. The UI clearly has not been changed in any respect. It's disrespectful to PC gamers in general to release a game of this quality in this day and age. Atari are not exactly doing all that well for themselves, publishing really good quality titles lately. There have been various games with various bugs, including, of course, Test Drive Unlimited 2, which was fairly bad on PC as well, and then you've got Yar's Revenge and then this that were just thrown onto Steam for a quick buck. I don't like that attitude one little bit. I could probably place some blame on Incinerator Studios as well. I'm sure they could have done much better, but then again, it probably comes down to the fact that Atari said, oh, we'll just throw out a PC port. God, the ship does not move smoothly in any way. It's horrendous. It just jutters all over the place. So, overall conclusion. I cannot find anything remotely enjoyable about this game at all. I would like to, but I cannot. It just isn't fun. It was a phoned-in remake of a game that, for its time, was really awesome. This game barely has any relation to the original. Freaking Assault Mode. What is this? Bloody anime. Seriously, why is this even here? Barely serves any practical purpose. It would have been nice if the Assault Mode actually made sense, but you still have the same main weapon on it, for God's sake. And it just makes the lackluster control system seem all the more obvious. It's fairly rare that I come around and say, look, avoid this game like the plague, but in this case I have to, because it is a bad game, and I absolutely would not want anyone to reward Atari for putting out such a lackluster remake. It's dross. It is complete and total dross. Don't reward them with your money, folks, please. Star Raiders, abysmal in pretty much every possible respect. No redeeming factors can I create, regardless of my inventiveness and ingenuity. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I will see you next time.